yo, what's up, everybody? What's going on? What's happening? Yo, looks like I just found out about something here when it comes to this little StreamYard thing. But for those, of course, on the Boston Source YouTube channel, what's happening with y'all? We're checking in here Sunday, July 14, 2024. I'm basically, back from being at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. I was there for Boots versus Avanesyan. I had, that was crazy though. I had went up there, took the drive up, a few hours to get there. Was able to get there in time for the main card that started about 8 o'clock, and the main event basically ended by 11:30. Whether you had, of course, a few decision victories that happened in that main card, but you still were able to have that main fight card flow really good, so that it didn't take that much time for the next fight to take place. Which I thought that was really good there in that particular sense. My thing also too was that shout out to Matchroom there on that particular aspect, because a lot of times a number of these events, boxing events, when they do start at around 8 o'clock Eastern time, or 9 o'clock Eastern time, or 10 o'clock Eastern time, something like that, that it usually doesn't end until 1 a.m. Eastern time, or even later. But in this particular aspect, they had all of these fights that took place, and it went through, got done, and was pretty much pretty smooth. You feel me? So big ups to them on that aspect. You know what I mean? So we have to, at least I would give kudos to them in reference to that, as far as having it to where you can have the fights done pretty much in before midnight Eastern time. Because by the time I had got basically settled in, after the press conference and everything like that, I drove right back. Pretty much got back at about 3 a.m. 3 a.m. There to not necessarily have much rest, because I did something later this morning. So was one of those instances where I didn't really sleep. So I'm pretty much going on limited fuel, so to speak, when it comes to what I can do for this show. But have to go through what happened, of course, there in the main event. Jaron Ennis defended that IBF welterweight championship against David Avanesyan, or Avanesyan, or whatever folks call him, whatever it is, right? This was where Boots was coming in 31-0, had a high KO ratio there, with at the time 28 wins by way of knockout against David Avanesyan, there, who had a record of 30 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. 18 of those wins by way of knockout. Of course, folks know about him from a couple years ago, facing Terence Crawford in Omaha, Nebraska, and was able to, basically get stopped by Terence Crawford there in 6 rounds. He had one fight last year, and then went into this particular bout this year. With Boots Ennis, of course, he had his last fight over in Atlantic City, when he was able to stop Roman Villa there in that particular fight. So, there was a good amount of time before he had this particular fight. You feel me? Shout out to Angry Man Sports Media in the building, man. What's good with you? He says that Boots was brutal in that one. And Jesus M, salute to you, as we pretty much go through this particular podcast here on the Boxing Source. Big ups for y'all for joining in here on the conversation. Now we're going to get back into the whole fight joint, man. I thought that Wells Fargo Center was getting very very crowded up in there for the main event. They wanted to see, of course, their hometown guy Boots Ennis with the defense of that IBF welterweight championship. But for me, I just wanted to see how Boots was able to approach this particular bout, given that he had an extended amount of time between fights. And usually I kind of go at it like, you can't necessarily have like one fight per year and continue to be sharp in the ring, no matter how long you could be in the gym. And a lot of people know that Jaron Ennis is a gym rat. Like, he eats, sleeps, all that type of stuff, being in the gym. But it's nothing like actually being in the ring and experiencing fighting against an opponent there. So here against David Avanesyan, you kind of saw some elements of that. Of course, David Avanesyan had been the replacement for Cody Crowley, who was supposed to be the opponent there for Boots Ennis, right? So that's the thing there, man. Like you said, man, he has to stay active. That's the thing about it. He has to stay active. Hey, they said this is the reason why he signed with Matchroom Boxing to be active, so to speak, right? And it's like, hey, Eddie Hearn be like, hey, listen, I got 3 fights here for you. We proposed this for you, an opening bout in your hometown, and we say, you know what, we'll do it at the Wells Fargo Center. I thought that we could do it at the Liacouras Center, but no, you wanted to do it at Wells Fargo, so we did it, and look what happened. Yeah, so you had almost they reported it's like 14,000. I thought it was going to be at least a shade over 10,000, but there were like a couple of upper level seats that some people were able to buy. So maybe they had opened up some seats like real last minute. You feel me? So that was the thing on that, man. Jesus Sim, he says that Jaron Ennis needs unified belts, no more state busy fights. Hey, that's the thing. We got to see how they're going to be able to work that out. But going into the fight itself, I thought, I was looking at, if he was going to have some rust, in a couple of aspects, he didn't. But there were other parts that he did. For me, I kind of like thought that, for those first couple of rounds, you seen him, not as sharp from a defensive standpoint as far as like, slipping and dodging punches. But then he got, a little bit more off of that over in that, third and fourth round, going into round 5. But you've seen there, at least with those first few rounds, that David Avanesyan was, really trying to go after Boots Ennis. But you had the whole thing that happened in the first round where, they were in close quarters and Boots was trying to go to the body early. And then he ended up, landing, a low blow there. And hey, David Avanesyan took all that 5 minutes in order to recover from that. But, after that, you kind of like seen it to where, Boots tried to, get to the body of David Avanesyan. But, while he was doing that, Avanesyan was, fairly competitive, in those, first few rounds. It was like after round 4 was where you saw Boots get a little bit more of a groove and started to catch the punches that Avanesyan was throwing combinations on his aspect. You've seen a couple of switches there, from Boots Ennis on this as well. But when he caught him, with that punch to knock down Avanesyan, he pretty much took one himself. So it was almost like a 1-for-1. So I felt like it was Boots that took a couple of those shots from David Avanesyan and said, you know what, whether I slip him or not, I'm willing to take a couple of those shots to be able to, get, what I'll be able to do, because sooner or later he's not going to be able to take what, the punches there. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be careful the way that I word these things, because if y'all listen to the press conference yesterday or whatever it is, or real early this morning, it was wild. Like I said, man, that we had a few like crazy moments in that press conference, man. Like I don't know what's going on with that, but that's something we'll get to a little bit later. But like I said, with Boots scoring that knockdown, he was able to proceed to like beat up David Avanesyan, and then Avanesyan went to the corner there at the end of round 5. The doctor advised that he doesn't go out for round 6, and there you have it. That was the end of it. So Boots Ennis is able to defend that IBF welterweight title. He's now 32-0 with 29 wins by way of knockout, a fairly high KO ratio, just a shade over 90% KO ratio. So that's big there for him. Now, before I go into a little bit more on that, I have a great guest that's coming on with me here. Of course, has been a contributor to the Boxing Source, and of course, is the host of Brunch Boxing. Now, I don't know if there will be a co-host of Brunch Boxing anymore, but we'll get a little bit of clarification on that here a little bit later. But I gotta get my guy Matt. What's going on?
Hey, what's good, JR, man? A nice boxing weekend. We saw Jaron Ennis show out Pat style in Philly. The card was whatever, but Boots delivered and sent the people happy. I think that's all that really matters. So, great performance by him, and I can't wait to see what's next for him.
Yeah, a number of people, of course, like I said, was there to see Jaron Boots Ennis in the feature fight. Now, they had some type of, activity in responses to, a couple of the fights that happened before with the Scott Nicholson and also with the Jalil Hackett versus Pete Dobson. But when it was time for that Boots fight to start, you see like a whole lot of people start to rush into, their seats in order to make sure that they catch the fight.
Yeah, they didn't want to blink with that beating that they was expecting Boots to put on him. I think that was pretty cool to see. It was good to see the atmosphere. It was good to see Boots at home. I'll be honest, I just wish the opponent was better. But, Cody Crowley had the eye injury, so he couldn't make it to the fight. I just think the next fight for Boots is something that fans are really going to want to see.
Now, that's the thing is, a number of people are going to be interested into seeing who is going to be Boots' next opponent. He talked about, in the post-fight pressure that he wants to make moves in order to unify and become undisputed in division at 147. But also, it was mentioned in reference to Turkey Al-Sheikh saying that he may have some interest in a fight between Jaron Boots Ennis and Terence Crawford. And once, Boots Ennis and his team got word, they were like, send the contract.
Ain't nobody falling for that shit. Let me tell you something. If Turkey Al-Sheikh really wanted to make that fight, why did he have to make his grand declaration on Twitter? Why not work behind the scenes to get the fight done? I kind of just feel like he just wanted to put himself as the center of attention. I really didn't like that, but this is Boots' moment. We shouldn't be hearing from anybody but Boots. Now, if Terence Crawford wanted to say something on social media, which he did, that's fine, because that's another fighter. But I don't want to hear from Turkey Al-Sheikh. Just pay the money to get the fight done and keep your mouth shut.
Now, he's saying like Turkey Al-Sheikh should, just stay behind the scenes and, like I said, not be all up in the videos and making these promos like WWE,
Yeah, man. I wasn't feeling that, but I would love to see Crawford versus Boots, but it seems like Boots is more interested in still fighting at 147 because he said he wanted to try to unify titles at 147. But I don't see a path for him to unify titles at 47. You got Barrios with the WBC, who it looks like he's going to be fighting Pacquiao in November. You have Stanionis with the WBA, who just re-signed with PBC. So I don't see why PBC would give Boots that fight when they could very easily make a unification between Stanionis and Brian Norman on the undercard of Gervonta Davis versus Lomachenko. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't see a path for him to unify. So if he's going to be talking Terence Crawford, he shouldn't be talking about 147 no more. Take your ass up there to 154 and go fight Crawford.
Yeah, it's like you got to be able to. If you say that you really want that fight, everybody knows that it's clear that Terence Crawford made the intention to move up to 154 to fight for a belt at 154. So the thing about it is, like, if you want that, you're gonna have to go up to 154 and say, hey, I'm ready for this. So you could go to Turkey LLC all you want, but you could just say, to Eddie Hearn or something like that, like, hey, just let him know that I want that fight at 154. I really don't care about the belts at 147 if I can get that fight with Terence Crawford at 154, because like you were mentioning, the situation with the other world titles, Mario Barrios, going up to face Manny Pacquiao, and the thing with Stanionis pretty much signing with PBC, because if I'm not mistaken, Stanionis was a former fighter under Richard Schaefer, right? So you now you have him pretty much dealing with PBC TGB, and so now it's like, okay, maybe you got to go towards that bout against Brian Norman Jr., but who is there currently under Top Rank? So that's the thing. Shout out to Joe Heron here, who mentioned the thing there with Brian Norman Jr. He also says like Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. is the fight. And that has been talked about, for some time, while both of them were at 147 at the same time. So I think that is the big fight of the future, is Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. at the 154-pound division, because I just don't see like either one of those guys, because there was also some talk about Virgil Ortiz facing Terence Crawford at 154, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that that is going to pretty much happen.
Why don't you think that could happen? If they'll say, for example, Virgil Ortiz gets that WBC interim belt, you don't think that opens him up for fights against like the Crawfords and King Doras, and maybe they'll revisit the Tim Tszyu fight? I think Virgil Ortiz is in prime position. It's Boots that's in a bad position to get a pathway to big fights.
Well, it depends on the thing what happens with Virgil Ortiz Jr. in his upcoming bout, August 10th, that he has against Sergey Boachuk. I have to see, how the numbers are, for that particular fight that is coming up for those two, and how that would kind of like materialize to see if Virgil Ortiz Jr. could get himself to be like one of those guys that could be like a superstar or something like that there. So, I mean, he has the fight that's coming up. It'll be at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Of course, that's, pretty good venue. I like the venue. But I would like to see like, what the price point is going to be for that particular fight, as far as like tickets are concerned. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like they're kind of like putting that gamble of sorts there with Virgil Ortiz, because this is going to be his first fight at like quote unquote a feature venue in Las Vegas when it comes to boxing. So I'd be interested to see like how they did it, because hey, remember, he was supposed to be on that fight card on August 3rd fighting Sergey Boachuk, but the thing was, it was like Turkey LLC was like, nah, I'm not interested in putting it in that card. And so Ozzy Alahoya is like, all right, okay, cool. I'll just have my own card with it as a feature bout. So, that's the thing about it, So that was the thing as far as like, those potential routes for Jaron Boots Ennis, man. But he's still, coming off of the big win there against David Avanesyan there. But also, I'm not sure if you could get in on it. But did you see a couple of things here from Boots Ennis, also that said like I don't know, maybe he needs to, get back in the ring and work on a few more things there. Because that's what I saw. Oh, I don't know. He looks like he's looks like Matt stares in the dark or something like that, or in the alley or whatever it is. So doesn't look like he could try to get back in here, at least anytime soon. So we'll see if we could get something back from him here in a little bit. So but outside of that, you had that as the main event. And then the co-feature bout, you had Jalil Major Hackett there against Peter Dobson, where Jalil Major Hackett was, fighting at 8-0 there against Peter Dobson. And Peter Dobson there was like 16? Yeah, I think it was like 16-1, of course, with his loss to Conor Benn. And this was for like the WBA Continental Americas title there. And this was something where it was going to be a significant step up for Jalil Hackett. I felt like the thing with Jalil Hackett was that he started off pretty good there, being a faster fighter, being more active with his hands. Pete Dobson was, more reactive in that particular sense. And then in like the third and fourth round, you seen Jalil Hackett have like a dedicated attack to the body. And when he did have that dedicated attack to the body, you seen that he was, really touching up Pete Dobson a little bit. And there was like moments where it looked like he was going to get, either a knockdown or maybe close to a stoppage. But after that, you kind of seen him, maybe like headhunt a little bit too much there in that particular fight. And when you do that, you kind of like make yourself a little bit predictable, and that you could, get yourself out of range at times. And at other times, you could have your opponent, really be able to counter you, or, try to time, what you're doing and try to attack you before you even do what you were trying to do. So that is why you kind of like seen Pete Dobson have a little bit of success there in the second half of the fight. And while it went 10 rounds, you had at least like one score be 96-94, which makes it really close. It almost was even in that one. But two scores of 97-93 over, pretty much like had it as a unanimous decision win for Jalil Hackett. So he goes 9-0. But, maybe there's, a few things that he may have to do here before he moves forward. However, the thing about it is, with this particular fight, it was, for WBA Continental Americas title. That likely puts him in the rankings there in the WBA. And it's almost like there's nowhere to go but up in this sense, for Jalil Hackett. You feel me?
I just saw James comment.
Oh man. he nailed it. Joe, you nailed it right there. You nailed it. Oh man. But I was really anticipating this particular fight though. Of course, leading into the fight, a lot of people were concerned in reference to Jalil Hackett as far as like him cutting the weight down to make 147, and how he would be able to hydrate himself going into this particular fight. So some people I was talking with while the fight was going on was like, okay, he may be able to do good here in these first few rounds, but how is he going to do from round 5 and round 6 and going forward? And there was something in there that was like, maybe he had a little bit of activity that went down, but in the final couple of rounds, you seen him, kind of like get back into it. I seen that he was, dodging punches, like dodging an uppercut in the 9th round. There was like 3-punch combination at the beginning of the 10th round by Pete Dobson, where Jalil Hackett was slipping and ducking and blocking. So he still has those elements of where he can still perform at a pretty good level late in the fight. But it's something where you got to see like how we would be able to deal with certain levels of adversity. But he didn't really have to do that here too much against Peter Dobson. So he gets that win. He's there at 9-0. They're in the welterweight division, and like I said, I mean, what is it going to be like? A couple of weeks, few weeks from now, you're going to have the new WBA rankings, and you're going to have most likely Jalil Hackett there in those rankings. Shout out to G5 Jeff TV in the building. Yeah, man. You know, the atmosphere in the building was great, man. You know, like I said, that thing there in the last couple of fights, you know, they were really enjoying what was going on. They're also, you know, with Sky Nicholson, you know, they were enjoying what Sky Nicholson was doing there in her fight that she had there with Diana Vargas. So I think it was, you know, those 4 fights, you know, for those that were able to be there for those entire fights, they felt like they were, you know, a little bit pleased and such with those fights that did go down, you know. So good overall atmosphere at the Wells Fargo Center. You know, they're looking to see if they could do another fight there at the Wells Fargo Center, but you know, it's all up to the thing there with who they match up Boots Ennis with, you know. So you know, that's what I got out of that, man. Anything else from the card that you saw there, Matt? See if you're able to catch it. Of course, y'all know he's out there at the bar. Of course, they did have what was it? Someone doing karaoke up in the bar out there, whatever it is. So he is like enjoying that there at this particular moment. Man, you know what though? I wonder where our guy Boxing Academic is. I don't know, man. He hasn't necessarily been in here for a good little bit, you know. So I had to figure out like you know where he's at. You feel me? So yeah, because I would like to see where he would have as an analysis there for this particular fight, or yeah, that fight with Boots Ennis versus David Avanesyan and whatnot. But you know, outside of that, you kind of like had it, like I said, a fast flowing card. Khalil Cole with that second round TKO of Kwame Ritter. I think Ritter was also a replacement opponent there for Khalil Cole. But with him getting that win, he's out there, you know, trying to call out other fighters there in the light heavyweight division. I think he called out Joshua Buatsi there in the light heavyweight division as well. But I mean, it remains to be seen there because you know, Cole, he's only there at like 10 pro fights so far, you know. So you want to have that jump up to fight, you know, Joshua Buatsi in like your 11 pro fight. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But you know, that's mainly the card that happened there in Philadelphia. I know that there was some that went down where you were supposed to have a unified middleweight title fight, but I'm gonna just be real. Hey, nobody was really interested in that middleweight fight. No, I'm sorry. Nobody was interested in that middleweight fight. Come on, man. We talk about Janabek, and Janabek consistently has like the lowest ratings on ESPN when he has his fight. So it's like, come on, he having a fight, you know, defending those middleweight titles. Like, hey, nobody was really going, you know, really, you know, get up, you know, to watch that, right? So, given what happened with Janabek on what was it, Thursday, with him you know, having severe dehydration issues, so he had to be in the hospital for that. That scrapped his bout. So you had the main event there with you know, Tevin Farmer going up against Raymond Murataya, and you know, that one it went through, you know, 10 rounds. But yeah, hey, hold up though, hold up. If y'all can go on BoxRec and look up Tevin Farmer. If you go on BoxRec and look up Tevin Farmer, hey, you'll see that. Hey, man, I don't know. They should have picked out a better picture for Tevin Farmer, man. I'm gonna just say that. Like, yo, that's crazy. But yeah, Tevin Farmer was able to compete there for 10 rounds against Ray Murray, who's there undefeated in the lightweight division. Ray Murray gets a unanimous decision win there with scores of 97-92, 96-93, and 95-94 there. But hey, I mean that makes it to where it was an even fight. But Farmer had been deducted 1 point in the 8th round. So yeah, I don't know, because Ray Murray is supposed to be one of those contending fighters at lightweight, and him having this fight against Farmer is like has some people kind of skeptical if he can be up there to compete at the top level there in the lightweight division, or pretty much around that top contender level in the lightweight division. Now, Matt, I don't know if you kind of like follow a Ray Murray like that, but
I do.
Okay.
I do. Hey, listen, I watch all the boxing, man. Come on.
Except for the flyweight going downward.
Hey, but the thing about Moritaya, the only thing I can think of yesterday is how stupid Shakur Stevenson is. Because if Shakur Stevenson would have had that same boring performance that he had last week against Moritaya and won easily, he would have got a lot more respect for that, because more people know Moritaya. And to me, Moritaya is more respected than Artem Haratuni is. Now, the thing about Moritaya is he's had trouble making 135. So I've been told by people within Top Rank ESPN that this was his last fight at 135, and now he's going to be moving to 140. But this would have been the perfect fight for Shakur Stevenson. But for some reason, he didn't want to wait 1 day to sign the contract. I don't get that at all.
That was interesting, because Ray Murray had been continuously mentioned as a potential opponent there for Shakur Stevenson. He had moved up in the ranks there in the WBC, there in the lightweight division. As recent as being number 2 in the WBC lightweight rankings there. So he could have, Shakur Stevenson could have had that fight there against Ray Murray, who would have been a much higher higher ranked lightweight there, in comparison to Artem Haratunian. But yeah, I guess it just didn't work out in the way that he wanted to. So that's why he ended up having these 2 fights.
Yeah, but now he's on Twitter talking about Moritaya wanted smoke, bro. You can't talk shit about him having a bad performance when you're not the one that made him have a bad performance. Like, I hate when fighters do that. Like, you're someone else having a bad performance is not your victory. You need to get in the ring and show that you can make them look like that. Okay? So he should have did that. Like, it pissed me off that you had Tio on the 29th, Shakur on the 6th, and then Moritaya on the 13th. But none of them matched up with each other. That made no sense to me at all. So I don't want to hear Shakur talking shit about Moritaya because he had a chance to take the fight and he chose not to take the fight. So it's whatever with me.
Yeah. And as you see now, with Shakur Stevenson, now that he's supposedly blaming Top Rank for this and blaming them for having the fans in Newark leave when they did and all that type of stuff. And now he's, shopping around looking for someone to sign. But, we had one recent thing that happened there where he had talked with Golden Boy Promotions, and Golden Boy Promotions was like, well, if you want to sign, or if you want to have this fight, or, they could have a fight with William Cepeda, we want to have, a 3-fight deal, or, some type of long-term deal. Rumor has it that the reason why it was basically like that was because, Oscar got word from a quote unquote advisor about, what Shakur usually would ask for, or what the price tag for Shakur would be. And if it doesn't necessarily get the returns off the rip, then it's like, nah, I got to do something where I can feel like I can have a sort of quote unquote long-term investment to see if I could work to get the returns that I want from it. So a one-off deal with Shakur Stevenson, like for example, a one-off deal with Shakur Stevenson against Williams Zepeda. It looked like they were trying to angle for that, to have Williams Zepeda be the mandatory challenger for the WBC lightweight title. But, given, what they have for the price tag for Shakur Stevenson, what he's looking for, it looks like that's why Oscar said what he said, on Twitter that, hey, if you want to have that fight with Williams Zepeda, we're going to have a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy. And, given what's happened with that, looks like it didn't necessarily work out, because now it seems like Williams Zepeda is angling for the WBO lightweight championship, which is currently held by Dennis Berinchik. So that's pretty much a interesting maneuver there for him. You know what I'm saying? So, but with Zepeda, if he's able to secure that and then get the win, then it would increase his value as a fighter there in the lightweight division. What does it say? Those 1, 2, 3 says Crawford is ducking Boots, and he says that Shakur is ducking Zepeda. Well, according to Shakur Stevenson, he's saying that they offered a fight with Zepeda on multiple occasions, and that Zepeda turned it down. But yeah.
And listen, Ghost 1, 2, 3, make like your name and disappear, please. Well, what is going on here, man? What is going on? Why do fans use this ducking word so loosely? Like, why would Shakur be ducking Zepeda? Oscar in the lawyer clearly said he's not getting the Zepeda fight unless he's signed. And the fight, they wanted Zepeda a couple times, and Oscar's like, we're going to do something else. So don't make it seem like they're ducking. And Terence Crawford's not ducking nobody. Terence Crawford already fought his rival. That was Errol Spence Jr., okay? The Boots, if he wants to fight, like I said, go up to 154 and go make that fight. But stop saying that fighters are ducking other fighters just because you have some sort of fandom or attachment to another fighter or some hatred towards another fighter. I'm not a Shakur Stevenson fan. I don't watch Shakur Stevenson fight. I make that very clear. But I'm not going to pretend that Shakur Stevenson is ducking William fucking Zepeda. Like, come on. Like, guys, let's be honest. Let's be honest about what's going on.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like, when it comes to the boxing business, it's like you got to be able to see what's going on, and some people don't necessarily see what's going on behind the scenes.
No, this guy said that Golden Boy said not to hate on his manager. Well, Golden Boy is his goddamn promoter. So what are we doing? Like, I don't get it, man. I honestly, I don't understand these people.
I think it's somewhere where someone's like just posting stuff to post, man. Because with that last comment, it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know what that last comment is, man. See, that's what I'm talking about. When yeah, this gotta be this one of them burner accounts, because we pretty much had.
And the funniest part is that he said that he watches boxing, not like me. Like, okay, I don't watch boxing. Like, what are you doing here? Who is this guy? But you know what? We like all viewers, so you know what? Keep watching the program. But I just want to tell you, you're an idiot, and you're dismissed. Case closed.
I don't know. Maybe I wonder, what if that was a burner account by Ezra? That would be crazy. There's also been some opinions of what's going on there in karaoke right now. He says, it's like, come on, man. All right, it's gonna be one more time, and then nah, man, we're gonna. We kind of did something with that, man. So nah, we ain't necessarily gonna go with that that much longer, man. Like, come on, we got too much nonsense going on with that. You feel me? So that had to be dealt with. Basically, went ahead and dealt with that. You know what I'm saying? Um, Also, what we had on the boxing source here, real quick, the boxing source earlier, a few days ago, where we have finally released the pound for pound, updated pound for pound top 10, right? Where I have just real quick, Junto Nakatani at number 10, Dimitri Bivol at number 9, Kenshiro Taraji at number 8, Shakur Stevenson at number 7, Canelo Alvarez at number 6, Jesse Bam Rodriguez at number 5, Devontae Tank Davis at number 4, Terence Crawford at number 3, Naoya Inoue at number 2, and at number 1, Alexander Usyk. There was a good amount of change within, like I said, the from like 4 to 8, where you had the biggest gainer is Jesse Bam Rodriguez, going up to number 5, and Canelo Alvarez going from number 4 to number 6. Tank Davis going up to number 4 from number 5. Shakur Stevenson basically staying pat. Kenshiro Taraji, moving up a spot. Dimitri Bivol moving up a spot. Junto Nakatani entering in the top 10. And two fighters that I had on the outside of the top 10 were Teofimo Lopez and David Benavidez.
Horrible.
He said horrible. Okay.
Bro, all right, let me ask you a question. How can you justify putting Dimitri Bivol in the top 10 but not Artur Beterbiev?
Well, the thing with Artur Beterbiev is he was at the time number 6 in the pound for pound rankings. But given the news that I pretty much had been relayed in reference to Artur Beterbiev, I pretty much got him out ahead of time, because after the fight that he had, there against Callum Smith at the beginning of the year, he was planning to have that undisputed title fight with Dimitri Bivol on June 1st. But he suffered a leg injury pretty much a couple weeks before that fight was supposed to take place. So for June 1st, that fight got scrapped. They had reported to reschedule the bout for October, but yeah, I don't see it. I don't see Beterbiev getting himself ready for that fight with October, because I don't even see him basically in camp right now, or anything near camp. So I don't feel like he's going to be, recovered in time to actually have another fight this year. So I just basically said, you know what, Beterbiev, I'll just go ahead and pretty much put him in inactive status and remove him from the pound for pound top 10. So that's why I don't have Artur Beterbiev currently in the top 10.
How the hell can Shakur Stevenson be over David Benavidez?
Because for some time, I've had Shakur Stevenson included in the pound for pound.
Okay, and that was a mistake. Correct your mistake and get that motherfucker out of top 10. Come on, man. Come on. Yo, Benavidez went Bosdick, Andrade, and Plant back to back to back. How can he not be in the top 10? Come on.
Well, okay, here's the thing with that one, okay? With Caleb Plant, that one was a fight there in the super middleweight division that was one of the most anticipated fights in the super middleweight division for some time, between two bona fide top 5 fighters within the super middleweight division, okay? So he was able to go ahead, get that win, solid win over Caleb Plant. Next fight was against Demetrius Andrade. Of course, Demetrius Andrade, multi-division WBO world champion, of course, at 154 and 160, moved up 168. He had that one fight, what was it like? Mad early there in 2023, there at 168 pounds. But then, after that, it was, good amount of inactivity of sorts there between the fight against Damon Nicholson, and then you had the fight there 10 months later against David Benavidez. And for me, it was like, You could have said like David Benavidez was highly favored to beat Demetrius Andrade, given his long standing there in the super middleweight division. And well, he basically like handled business. I mean, we've seen what happened there. David Benavidez, looked like somebody that probably fought 175 against a guy, that looked like he still was at 160 pounds, so yeah, I it's like I didn't really weigh that win that David Benavidez had against Demetrius Andrade that high or as high as maybe some people may have thought, So that was the thing about that, you know. So that's why currently I have David Benavidez on the outside looking in there in the top 10 pound for pound rankings. So that's my explanation on that. It says, but if Bev just punches the back of your head whilst on steroids. I don't know, man.
Come on, man. What are you doing here?
Oh man, he says that.
Look at his next shot, man. Come on.
Yeah, he claims that Matt hates on top ranked fighters. He hated on Crawford too. He knows Shakur will beat Avante Tank Davis like Crawford beat.
Hey, listen, Derek, if you follow my content so much, hit the cash app. All right. You know you enjoy the content. Hit the cash app. Cash app is right there on the screen. Thank you.
So I mean, there you have it on that one, man. Just go ahead and you see what's going on there, of course, with Brunch Boxing every Saturday. They're on Twitter Spaces. I'm gonna still call it Twitter Spaces. Like calling it X is just right now.
We're not doing that. We don't acknowledge X. The only X we acknowledge is Darkman X.
Oh, for sure. 1, 2, 1, 2. Come through. Of course. So there you go with that one, man. Yeah, outside of that, I mean that's pretty much mostly what I have here for this particular weekend, man. There's not much going down for the following week. I'm just seeing like what's in store, man, because my thing is I'm looking ahead to what's going down on August 3rd, and like I said, I'm continuously looking at them dots, and I ain't seeing that many dots being not blue, so that's not that ain't looking good.
That ticket map got acne.
Yeah, because it's not looking all too hot. But I mean, according to reports, look like Terence Crawford is getting a guarantee of $16 million for this fight that he's having against Israel Madrimov. Now, $16 million. That is up there.
If he's really getting $16 million, then he's a fucking idiot for fighting in California. I just want to point that out because they're gonna tax the shit out of that.
Well, I mean, they could tax it, whatever it is. But my thing about it is, okay, I get that. Hey, you are what you negotiate. That's one thing, right? So if you're able to get $16 million to fight Israel Madrimov, just imagine how much Crawford may ask for a potential fight against Canelo Alvarez. That would be crazy.
He might ask for the $200 million that Canelo wants for Benavidez.
Man, he just might do that. Now, speaking of Canelo Alvarez, it seems like there has been, a little bit of conflict as to who his next opponent could be. On Brunch Boxing, on one of Brunch Boxing's conversations, he brought up the whole thing as far as like the news tidbit of the WBC granting David Benavidez an extension to see if he would be or extend or be at 175 or 168. He had the interim title at 168. He beat Alexander Gavasik for the title at interim title at 175. So that pretty much gives him the pick as to, okay, if I be at 175, I could go after that 175 belt. If I go to 168, I could, go after that 168 belt. Now, that being said, that means that he could lean towards fighting Canelo Alvarez at 168 if he chooses to be at 168. But there's been some other reports in reference to Canelo Alvarez maybe going out to the UK to face Chris Eubank Jr. And the thing is, they're saying like, hey, it would be something under the Boxer promotion there over in the UK, in that the guarantee for Canelo Alvarez to go over to the UK is almost $51 million. So if that's the case, then it's like, wow, you're gonna have your undisputed, so to speak, title defense against Chris Eubank Jr. over in the UK. That's wild. But Matt is still still says no, that Chris Eubank thing ain't it. It's going to be Canelo Benavidez. Now the thing is, when would that fight take place? Would it be at the tail end of September, or would it be something where it could be maybe early October? That would be the question. So you got to see how they be able to work that out. So that remains to be seen. We'll keep our eye on that and what's going on with that. But with that being said, it's about 9 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, I'm pretty much going on absolute minimal sleep over the past day and a half here, whatever it is, man. So I making this quick here and drawing the end to this particular episode of the Boxing Source podcast. If y'all can, just hit the like button. If you enjoyed the content, also hit the share button if you can, so other people will be able to enjoy the content here on the Boxing Source there. So do that. We appreciate it here on the Boxing Source, and let's see if there's anything here left from Matt. While he's there during karaoke night over at the bar, but I don't know. Looks like he might be going up to sing his song there. That might be the case here. So if that's it, then hey, I gotta roll out because I pretty much will have like a couple of hours, and then I'm gonna try to get some rest and get ready for the rest of the week and whatnot. I know that there's going to be a local fight card here in the DMV area on July 20th. So I'm going to see if I can get over there to support that. I know that Jake Paul is supposed to be fighting over in Tampa, Florida on that same date. But we got like a few other things here that we're going to be getting ready for in the sport of boxing. And if there's anything else that we kind of have, we'll be able to relay that to you here on this particular channel. So with that being said, big ups for everyone that has joined in live, and also we'll be able to watch the replay. And hey, like I say, point of boxing is hitting like a hit and understanding trade. With that, I'm out. Peace.